had buried himself in the mists of the rows of black houses, and was lost there, like smoke in the dark. And one might have thought that he had dissipated and vanished, had there not taken place, a few minutes after his disappearance, a startling shiver of glass, and had not the magnificent crash of a lantern rattling down on the pavement once more abruptly awakened the indignant bourgeois. It was Gavroche, upon his way through the Rue du Chaume. Chapter 3. While Cosette and Toussaint are asleep. Jean Valjean went into the house with Marius' letter. He groped his way up the stairs, as pleased with the dark as an owl who grips his prey, opened and shut his door softly, listened to see whether he could hear any noise, made sure that, to all appearances, Cosette and Toussaint were asleep, and plunged 3 or 4 matches into the bottle of the fumade lighter before he could evoke a spark, so greatly did his hand tremble. What he had just done smacked of theft. At last the candle was lighted. He leaned his elbows on the table, unfolded the paper, and read. In violent emotions one does not read. One flings to the earth, so to speak, the paper which one holds. One clutches it like a victim. One crushes it. One digs into it the nails of one's wrath or of one's joy. One hastens to the end. One leaps to the beginning. Attention is at fever heat. It takes up in the gross, as it were, the essential points. It seizes on one point, and the rest disappears. In Marius' note to Cosette, Jean Valjean saw only these words: I die. When thou readest this, my soul will be near thee. In the presence of these 2 lines, he was horribly dazzled. He remained for a moment, crushed, as it were, by the change of emotions which was taking place within him. He stared at Marius' note with a sort of intoxicated amazement. He had before his eyes that splendor, the death of a hated individual. He uttered a frightful cry of inward joy. So it was all over. The catastrophe had arrived sooner than he had dared to hope. The being who obstructed his destiny was disappearing. That man had taken himself off of his own accord, freely, willingly. This man was going to his death, and he, Jean Valjean, had had no hand in the matter, and it was through no fault of his. Perhaps, even, he is already dead. Here his fever entered into calculations. No, he is not dead yet. The letter had evidently been intended for Cosette to read on the following morning. After the 2 discharges that were heard between 11 o'clock and midnight, nothing more has taken place. The barricade will not be attacked seriously until daybreak. But that makes no difference. From the moment when that man is concerned in this war, he is lost. He is caught in the gearing. Jean Valjean felt himself delivered. So he was about to find himself alone with Cosette once more. The rivalry would cease. The future was beginning again. He had but to keep this note in his pocket. Cosette would never know what had become of that man. All that there requires to be done is to let things take their own course. This man cannot escape. If he is not already dead, it is certain that he is about to die. What good fortune! Having said all this to himself, he became gloomy. Then he went downstairs and woke up the porter. About an hour later, Jean Valjean went out in the complete costume of a National Guard and with his arms. The porter had easily found in the neighborhood the wherewithal to complete his equipment. He had a loaded gun and a cartridge box filled with cartridges. He strode off in the direction of the markets. End of chapter 3.